I
Sure.
was sure you were going to accept.
Of course. Why wouldn't I? You talk
So,
about my favorite topic, so why wouldn't I?
your favorite topic being awkward, okay,
Conversations. Yes.
awkward conversations. All right.
No.
So, have you watched any episode?
I've watched a couple. Some of your
Okay.
earlier ones. So
Okay. So, I have a opening question for everyone.
okay.
Where does the name come from, Lady SnipeShot?
Oh, Lady SnipeShot. I
I
actually have a
I
history.
I think for those in the audience that don't know, we talk maybe almost every Saturday on
Yes.
the Gametographer show, and I think we never discussed how your name came up.
So it wasn't, the cool thing is that it didn't just like, I didn't just name myself that. It was when I was playing Horizon Zero Dawn, and I originally I had another account, and it was like Raquel or Renee or something like that from a long time ago, and I hated it and whatever. But that was the email that I used and signed up with. And then I started doing virtual photography, but it was, solely Horizon Zero Dawn for a long time. And I used to always climb up as high as I could, like any thunder jaws, any one that I would get killed by really easily. I'd go up really, really high and just sit there and just until they're dead. I didn't even care how long it took,
The
whatever.
coward's way.
Yeah. And so yeah, so I got pretty good at doing, like, taking down enemies and stuff with my bow and arrow. And so I changed my name to Lady SnipeShot from that. So it originated when I was playing Horizon Zero Dawn. And then I created a new PSN account, and I've just labeled my stuff always as Lady SnipeShot. And I actually, a lot of people comment on the name. I'm so used to it now that it doesn't have any, like, it's not like, oh, cool name. But I've had a couple people, like an author, he was like, can I use your name in a book? And I'm like, I don't care, whatever. I was
It's
like,
it's
sure.
not TM.
Say what?
It's not TM. It's not trademark. It's
Yeah,
not.
exactly. It's like, sure, I don't care. So that's how it came about.
I thought it was because of Warframe.
Oh, really? No, no, it goes back further than that. So,
Whoa.
yep.
The next question would be, how did do you have any prior experience with photography?
Yes. Yeah. I was in film school before. So,
Oh, really?
yeah.
Huh.
And I also did photography before that, just kind of like amateur photography. I just liked photography. I used to do a lot of more up close, not macro, because I couldn't afford that lens. And so I had a telephoto lens that had like I think it had a 300 millimeter zoom on it. And so I would take pictures of flowers and just like zoom all the way in. So all of my photos used to just be like weird kind of abstract photos, pictures of flowers, pictures of things that people may just pass by without noticing. That was kind of my photography before. And then I went to film school and learned how to compose shots and, cinematography, things like that. And then that's when I found virtual photography. So
I funny because that's how I started doing virtual photography, like trying to get what people go by and miss.
uh-huh. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Oh, how does your, let's say, traditional photography experience translate to virtual photography?
Um, I would say that my real life photography has always been very different from my, virtual photography. So I wouldn't even say that my real life photography even translated a whole lot, except that I just kind of got used to a certain aesthetic and stuff like that from my own. And I try to duplicate that sometimes. And nobody likes those photos when I duplicate my real life style, because I love grungy photography. I love kind of grainy old 90s kind of point and shoot camera kind of photography, that look. It's probably just me being nostalgic. But my cinematography, my film school background, that actually taught me how to compose shots based on like the ratios and the using the grid and knowing where, what different things meant in a frame, like the symbolism that you can create and the emotion that you can create in a single shot based on where you put the character and where your eye line's at, what's in the shot, how much negative space you have versus positive space, things like that. So that really translated. So
that's really cool, because I remember, okay, time is weird, but this might have been like 1 year ago, and we were on the show talking about knowing the rules so we know how to break them, and our creative side versus our more, we were talking about that, about using film grain in photos. And I had no idea that you actually know the rule, because I don't.
Oh, really?
No, I have no experience. I have close to no experience in traditional photography. What I know, it was basically from trying so much to see if something works in virtual photography, and then got tired when it didn't work. So I went online and started like researching, doing some free workshops and stuff like that to understand how I could break the rules. But back then I didn't. I knew very little. But you mentioned that you came across virtual photography during your film school experience. So
Yeah.
was it Horizon Zero Dawn?
Yeah. Well, it started out to be, let's see. So while I was in film school, Justin and I, we bought a PS3 because we were kind of, broke at that point living in California. And I was going to school and stuff. And we played PS3 for the longest time playing Diablo. Like we played side by side Diablo. Like we were in the torment, like high torment levels and just murdering everything. It was great. And then Justin, he's like, let's get a PS4. And they had been out a while. And I was like, I mean, okay, I think we can afford it. We got a PS4. And the first game that we bought with the PS4 was Horizon Zero Dawn. And so that's what I started with on a PS4. That was like, I had like a video game dark ages where I didn't play for a very long time. Like I missed, for instance, like The Last of Us. I didn't get into that franchise very much because I missed that. That was like my dark ages. But it was really cool coming back to Horizon Zero Dawn. And I was like, oh man, this is phenomenal. This game is just gorgeous and beautiful, and just, this is the same word, but they mean the same thing. But it's just a great game with a great protagonist. I love Aloy, and and then it was probably, I had been playing Horizon Zero Dawn to play Horizon Zero Dawn, not for photography at all. And I came across a post on, no. I came across photo mode in the menus. And then like, I was like, what is this? And I was like, what photos? And I started playing with it. I realized what it was. Then I started doing like searches about, the photo mode, whatever, Horizon Zero Dawn photo mode. And that's when I found that they had originally had a competition that I missed. Like it was their very first competition. It was like right close to the, like after their launch. And I was like, oh, dang, I really missed that. Like, that's a shame. I would have loved to have participated. But then from there, I went from like looking for other games with photo modes. And when I started doing searches on virtual photography, I came across GTA photography. And so we ended up getting GTA, and I met someone who had done a lot of GTA photography, and he showed me how to do it. And so then it was like GTA and Horizon Zero Dawn, and those were my primary games until Warframe came along, and then it was Warframe. So,
I would like to know not even who won, but the winning shot of that Horizon Zero Dawn competition. Because so this was like 2018, kinda 2017,
2017.
18.
I think it's
Okay,
2017.
I don't know if you feel this, but I do. I started in 2018, late 2018, but everyone got so good.
Oh my gosh. I'm so intimidated. I'm like, I look back at my original shots. I'm like, man, those are mediocre. I look at my shots today. I'm like, man, those are mediocre. So,
Everyone got, even people starting out now are so good. Like, I- like it's crazy. Intimidating is a good word. We use the word that I believe you and Lamb created,
Prelis,
Prelis.
that's a limb creation, and I use it all the time.
Yeah, proud and jealous at the same time, and it's amazing. Like on Saturdays, usually not every Saturday, I will request people to post works, their work on my comment section of one of my Twitter posts, so that I can keep up with so many people joining in the virtual photography scene. And every week I found like someone that created their account like 1 week ago, and their shots are like, how did you become? So I'm really curious to see that winning shot, not to say, oh, now everyone is better, but to
Yeah.
see if it's like, so were people this good a couple of years ago,
Yeah.
or are it's really crazy. But okay,
I never
so
thought about that.
you might be one of the veterans of virtual photography in the PlayStation side. I know that
Yes.
like Drew started it at the Amiga, so yeah, that. But maybe on the PlayStation side, you might be one of the first. How do you feel about like the bubble expanding so much? I comment with this with the Ford Focus last week. I don't think the virtual photography scene, the bubble, hasn't burst yet, but it's only expanding.
Oh
It's
yeah.
getting bigger and bigger. How do you feel about that?
I feel like I'm going to get left behind. I feel like I'm just going to fade off into like the history and then just become one of those figments and myths. I would be lucky to even be a myth at this point. So, Lim and I
But
talk about this a lot. I feel like I'm just like it's hard to keep up, especially like you said, with the amount of people that are like so talented. And now like you can tell a lot of times too who's had like a creative background, and so they're bringing that to it, and it's just like kind of like on the game photography show today when I shared that double
the
exposure.
yeah.
That was like a phenomenal double exposure that it blew my mind. I like that's like the best one I've seen so far, and it just like
And it's crazy because you can clearly see that that person has a creative background.
yeah.
And like you said, you can tell
Mhm.
from, and I don't know who it was, but I think it was when last week when I asked for Days Gone photos,
Mhm.
someone shared some, and I went to their profile, and they had the link to their like main Twitter profile, and it was
Mhm.
someone that had like 25,000 people following him,
Oh
and with a
wow.
lot of like design works and crazy things. And I'm seeing more of that, more of
Yeah.
like people getting into the virtual photography scene, and instead of like merging the two, creating a different account just for virtual photography.
Mhm.
And I'm loving it. I'm
Oh
just,
yeah.
I
Absolutely.
appreciate the flow of new. I like looking at pretty
I do
pictures.
too. Oh my gosh. And the thing is like not to say that, like I do feel like I'm just gonna fade away into the background, but That's great though, because that's what we as a community have been really pushing for. And so Lim and I talk about that a lot too. It's like, well, you know, we talk about like back in the day when we were, you know, so hyped about virtual photography and it was such a new thing to us. And we were just like, we've got to get this out there. We've got to tell people, we've got to promote this. We've got to encourage people to try new things. And then we created challenges and we created contests, and then it just went and more happened. And, you know, that's what we wanted is what we're seeing now. And it's so like, it's so intimidating, but it's so nice to see this cute little thing that we used to just consider like this hobby of ours, you know, grow into this, like so many people are trying it and so many games are being affected by it. You know, it's super exciting. So
We already mentioned a couple Bad Gamer Elite and Lamb a couple of times, and the game photographers. Let's shift our focus into that. How did you come across? Because you weren't part of the original game photographers. I know that because my first guest was Lamb, and I was really surprised. But how did you come into?
so that was a fun that's a fun story. I was actually one of the photographers. I feel so honored to have been a part of the first Horizon Zero Dawn exhibit at PAX AU back in the one that Drew had. I had showcased a few of my shots in that, and that's where I met Lim, because he was also one of the other photographers that also was showcased. And it was funny because Drew was like, all right, so this is still kind of like under wraps, so don't really talk about it. And I remember I was like, I need to talk to someone about this. So I reached out to some of the other photographers that were in it. And I'm like, oh, hey, I heard you were in this and da 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 da. You know, congratulations, you know, like it's so great to be here, blah, blah, blah. And that's how I started meeting everybody. But then I met Lim and we just kind of hit it off. And then he and Cindy, they asked me to come onto the show as just an interview. And then after the interview, they were like, hey, do you want to stay? Do you want to come back as a co-host? And I was like, sure, I'm down. So that's how it all happened.
So we started the same. Lamb has a tendency to spread his positivity and his energy to others.
Oh,
and
yes.
it's really contagious. During the time that I stopped for like 6 months. I really missed that positive energy that we have on the Saturday show.
Oh, we missed you too, dude. We so missed you. We were like, oh man, where's Dot at? He's not here.
Life and stuff and
I get it.
the world ending contributed a lot for that.
Yes.
So for the longest time during the Saturday show, we would talk about one game, Warframe. Never have I played Warframe, and I know so much about Warframe. Why do I know so much about Warframe, Rach?
I have to say, Warframe, I will take the blame. I will take full responsibility for anybody that watches this later. If you know about Warframe and you're like, I hate Warframe or blah, 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 it's my fault. I'm sorry. And I do take the blame for that because I was the first one in our group to play it and take pictures in it. So I actually came across Warframe around just after I had found Horizon Zero Dawn, and we were kind of broke, and I was like, I really want a new game to play. No, because I think at that point I had maybe finished Horizon Zero Dawn. I was just like, I want another game, but I really don't want to spend any money on another game right now. So I got on PlayStation, the store, and I was like, free games. Let's check it out and see what's available. And I came across Warframe, and I was like, nah, that looks weird. And then I was like, I kept going back to it, and I was just like, then I watched some gameplay trailers.
It looks weird, but it's free.
Yes. Yep, exactly. And after seeing some gameplay trailers, Justin was playing Destiny at the time. And I was like, man, this looks a lot like Destiny. Like just it's very similar, but I don't want to play Destiny because isn't Destiny like first person shooter? Is
I
it first
think
person?
so. I think it's first person.
And at that time, I didn't play first person shooters because I couldn't play first person shooters because I was really bad at them. I was just like, no, I'm not playing Destiny. But I was like, this Warframe is third person. I'm gonna try it. I'll just try it and see what happens. And so I started playing it. Finally got Justin involved. We became obsessed with it. And I also found Captura, which the capture mode, once I found the capture mode, and I for anybody that has not played Warframe and is excited about Spider-Man Miles Morales, the lighting.
That was my question. That was going to be my question.
I'm sorry, but Spider-Man Miles Morales did not do the 3-point lighting system first. My friends, it was Warframe. And when I found that out, I was like just floored. I'm like, oh my gosh, like I can control this. And I found out that you can do like cinematics and stuff like that. I remember actually posting some of my first Warframe shots. I was so excited about it. And one of the devs from Horizon Zero Dawn actually messaged me on Twitter, and he was like, well, what do you like about it? You know, what makes you like the photo mode? And I explained the 3-point lighting system to him and stuff. And I just told him it was really cool. Didn't hear really much commentary after that. So I was hoping and crossing my fingers that Horizon Zero Dawn 2 might get it.
I'm seeing a tendency of talking with people from back then that the devs were really interested in that. I can't tell more, but yeah, you're not the first person to tell me that devs have reached out and trying to see what people like.
Yeah.
But Spider-Man Miles Morales isn't even the second game to do the 3 lighting
Really?
point. Yeah, Neo 2 has that.
Nice.
And when people got like, oh, Miles Morales lightning system, there is one thing that they do pretty well that I don't think other games did. So Ghost of Tsushima and Horizon Zero Dawn, you can control the sun. In Miles Morales, you can control the light source. So you can change the light of the environment. So that's different. But the 3 light system isn't like a Miles Morales thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like the lights with the rest of the photo mode, that's what brings Miles Morales to be such a good photo mode. But
yeah, I haven't got to play with it yet. So
it's like the photo mode, it's maybe the photo mode that, do you know how you stop a game and go into photo mode and then you build your scene and it looks like a completely different scene than the one that you started?
Yeah.
With Miles Morales is that times 10.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's
wow. Interesting.
I got to show it on a Portuguese TV show a while back, and the host, after we stopped recording, freaked out. Like, how well, yeah, it was really funny. So, how important is a photo mode into a game? You know, you have all this experience, all this time with photo modes. How important is a photo mode for a video game?
Okay. First off, I will say this. They're not necessary. They aren't. There's some games that I feel like, you know, that have just a great story that, you know, can carry themselves like they always have. But the one thing that I always find with games with photo mode is that they live so much longer in, like, as far as people playing them. Like before, like, you know, whenever I was playing, like way back in the day, I was playing like God of War, some of the earlier God of Wars. once I beat it, that was, I was done with it, and it was really rare. It's really rare for me, not for everybody, but for me to go back and play a game I've already beat, just because I know, there's no excitement, no unknowns, no mystery to it. And so it's just kind of like, I already know what happens.
Yeah.
Um, so the thing about photo mode is that, takes that away and makes people go back to the game, because it's like, well, I want to see if I can, get this photo or do this and get this lighting. And it just keeps the love for the characters, and a love, like there's a connection that gets built there with a photo mode. I don't know. It's like, I think what it is when you can take photos in a game, rather than just taking in the creativity of other creators and, and their, things that they offer, you get to put your own imprint onto that game. And I think that's where the connection is built. And so it just gives it so much more, as
Yeah.
far as longevity goes.
And there are people that I saw this earlier today, that question how do people stuck with one game for so long.
Mhm.
But at least for me with God of War is that I now feel like I'm part of the game somehow,
Yeah.
because I've taken so many pictures of it. I know so many stuff about it that I have a special connection, and I feel that I'm not part of the dev team, not that. It's
Yeah.
that it's part of my presence. It's part of me. People expect that from me, and I expect that for myself. I can't disconnect from God of War. And
Mhm.
there are a lot of photographers that connect to that game, to a game in a specific way.
Mhm.
Just look at Horizon. Like,
I was gonna say, exactly. That game should have died. I'm not saying that it's not a good game or anything like that, but if without a photo mode, that game would have just, it would have kind of fallen back a little bit, to all of
let
these new games. So
I will just Google really quick games of the same year. 2017 was the year that okay, a pretty popular one. Wolfenstein, the new Colossus came out. This
mhm.
is a pretty popular game. It doesn't get talked as much as Horizon Zero Dawn, because Horizon Zero Dawn is shared every single day because
Right?
of virtual photography. Like, one of the questions that I get the most is exactly that. Why do people use photo mode, and what does that bring to the dev team and the game itself? It keeps the game alive, and
Yeah.
it keeps the players wanting to come back. Like, playing through God of War, a specific mission with a specific armor. You get a reason to replay again, just to take photos of that mission with that armor that you get at the end of the game. So
Right?
yeah, that's the awesome part, and we are weird that to find that awesome. We are really weird. I don't know if you feel that, but we are.
I'm weird. I talk to people outside of it and they're just like, what is she talking about? I don't have a clue. And that's probably part of, like any kind of ADHD tendency, is I get hyper focused on something and I can sit and I can talk about it, and I can just feel people go, uh-huh, uh-huh. Yeah, okay, great. Can we not talk about this time? It's like, dang it. So
So if someone was to like start right now taking photos of video games, what would your advice be to them?
play, not necessarily the game, but play, get creative, like just play with the controls, test things out, um, explore, try to go in places you've never been, try to capture that action shot that kills your character like 5 million times while you try to get it. Um, that would be like one of my number one things, is because that's how you learn. That's how you learn your style. That's how you learn your, what you like, your aesthetic. That, I feel like I don't even have an aesthetic, but if I didn't
That's
I
not
mean,
true.
I,
You
I
have, yeah.
I'm curious. We gotta talk about this later. I don't know what my aesthetic is. I just kind of play whatever and do whatever.
It's not. It's it's weird because I have the same thing about myself, but I get that with most people, and I think yours, it's like the color choice. Like you don't use the same colors, but you always have like a very specific palette to your
Interesting.
shots.
I'm
Like
gonna have to look at this. I'm gonna have to look at my archives and be like, what is
even how can, let's imagine that you have a subject that is green.
uh-huh.
You know how to, at least you might not be aware that you do this, but the colors on the photo all go well with the green.
Oh,
So
cool.
it's not really, it's not really apparent. It's something really simple, but I know that you do that. I know looking at your shots that you have a balance in the palette of your
Oh,
shots.
that's cool. I now that you're saying it, I tend to be like, I I know what you're saying now, and I've never been told that, so it's cool, kind of cool to hear. Um, because I always felt like I was like, well, this is random and this is random and this doesn't match and none of this goes together. But I do it in my clothes. I will wear like one pop color, and then everything else has to be like black, white, neutrals. Like even now, like even my background, like I've got like this pink theme going on, but everything else is like my computer, my chair, everything's
Yeah,
matches color wise. I don't know. So that's cool.
but that makes that specific color pop,
Mhm.
and that's your style. Like it might not be your whole style, but most of your shots that I look at,
Uh-huh.
they have that imprint.
Oh, cool. I've been printed on my photos. I love it.
And I believe that most photographers, unless you're like, oh, I will only do action shots, oh, I will be the best portrait photographer out there. Unless you go for that, most
Mhm.
photographers don't think they have a style, but they do,
Oh,
because
interesting.
it goes with your personal your personal like taste, and
Uh-huh.
that translates to your style.
Sure,
I
sure.
like I like scrolling through people's profile and learning.
That's interesting. To go back to what we were saying, exploring your like playing, like I used to be a preschool teacher, and I learned, that play is such an important part of, learning. And so if you're not playing, it's really hard I was a preschool teacher, Dot. I was. I was a lot of
For the
things.
past like 2 years, we have talked, like, I won't say every week because there are months that we don't, but most of every Saturdays we do talk with each other, and I'm learning so much.
I've done a lot of stuff in my life. I've done a lot of weird things. So
I was actually going to talk about your career, but yeah, your advice. You are a preschool teacher.
yeah, but playing is such a huge part of learning. And so, if you're playing and trying new things, you're going to learn more that way than any other thing. Also, like duplicating what other people do, try to do what they do, and see if you can get the same result. Most of the time you're going to get a different result, but you're going to learn something about, what they did and how they framed it and stuff like that. So
I
that would
did
be my number one. So.
two things about that. I did a post grad,
Mhm.
and we didn't have classes. We had uh, uh, small assignments to deliver every week,
Mhm.
and we would learn by doing. It was the whole like mentality behind that post grad was learn by doing, and I
Mhm.
believe that I've learned more in that post grad than anything before in my life. So
Mm.
I try to apply that, and I would very much give that advice to anyone
Yeah.
starting at anything. Learn by practicing, by playing, and by going into it. And the other thing is, I've been called out a few dozen times about trying to mimic other people's work
Mhm.
because, yeah, the result will be similar-ish, but never the same.
Yeah.
Especially in video games, it's really easy to, like, even if you're not trying, take the same shot.
Mhm.
It's really easy to take something similar because you are photographing
Yeah.
a limited, even in open world games, they are limited.
Mhm.
So it's really easy to find similar shots. And I've been called out because of that in the
Yeah.
past, but I don't care. It's still my shot, even if it's similar to yours.
Well, it's funny
So
because film school they taught us that to look at what people are doing and do it better. Like try to do it better. Like if you're gonna if they said it like this, if you're gonna steal from someone, steal it and do it better. Make it better. Find a way to bring something new to it and go beyond what they did. I guess I kind of get that from that. But also like in film editing, you can have the same exact footage as someone else, the same exact footage, and no two people will cut it exactly the same. No two people will put the same expressions next to each other. And there's so much that you can say, even like in video editing, that you can turn things dark, just by your music choice, your lighting choice, if you color grade, or just by the pace that you use. You can make it funny, you can make it sad, and it's the same exact footage as somebody else has. So I take you know I feel that same way when it comes to taking stills. So
hmm. Okay, so let's talk about your career. And I don't know how much you can talk about your work right now, but you work for TakeIGG.gg.
it's Taikai. Yeah. Taikai
Taikai.
esports. Yeah.
Okay, what is that and what is your role?
Okay. So Taikai, I started there last year. I'm now I officially have the title of director of Taikai esports. However, we are a small company. We're a growing company. Well, it's a growing branch of another company. It's part of Brave Enough Entertainment, which has been around for a while. It's an artist agency that um, like basically books gigs at colleges for the artists that they have on their roster. Um, so Taikai kind of was birthed through the pandemic. My boss, he's super awesome, super creative person. He saw a need. He said, like, things are going virtual, we've got to figure out some more virtual things. I'm interested in esports. So he created Taikai esports and started with the Quarantine Cup back last year before I started. um, and then through a friend in California that knew him, that's how I kind of got the position that I have. Networking is so important, guys. Just saying. networking is
And
and networking is
people,
not sales. Networking is
yeah,
just
and
connecting with
people
people.
skip on, I believe people skip on networking through social media
True.
because they don't want to spam, they don't want to be annoying.
Mhm.
Don't skip on networking through social media.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so important, and that's another thing that they taught us in film school is like it's part of it is luck, part of it is talent. Like those are fractions, and then the rest is who you know. Like
Yep.
those are huge chunks.
It's
Luck.
sad, but yeah, that's the whole story of my professional career.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I started in July, and basically we started my my job is very fluid right now. So I started by just like booking colleges for esports tournaments, and we would help them host tournaments and, you know, bring esports to their campus. And then it kind of, I was also helping other artists in the agency get on Twitch and learn how to use the Twitch platform for music. So I've, I've learned so much between last year and now. But anyway, we've kind of gone from that. I was building kind of like how-to guides on how to use Twitch, how to, you know, play in tournaments, things like that. And then we added VR escape, which has been really cool. We use Ubisoft's Assassin's Creed VR escape games, which is super cool. But now I'm kind of booking for that and stuff. So I book a lot, you know, get people, you know, involved in esports and VR. This year we're booking fairs. So I do a lot of like I said, my job's very fluid right now. It's a lot of learning and a lot of building. So
the world ended in March, and in July you looked at it and thought, I will change jobs.
well, so okay. So before I worked there, I worked for Half Price Books in which is just if you don't know what Half Price Books is, for people in America, it's a great bookstore if you haven't been. It's all like used books and stuff like that. But I would butted heads a little bit with management. Yeah. And I was looking to leave. I just didn't feel there was no room for advancement. And
Okay.
I got overlooked for a position that I feel like I should have had. And I was just like, after that, I was like, you know, I think I'm going to change. But while I was looking for a job, that's when coronavirus happened. And, you know,
Okay.
that next, you know, whenever it was that we all went on lockdown, and nobody was hiring. And I was like, oh, well, crap, you know.
I'm saying this while I changed jobs last
Oh,
year during the pandemic. So
nice, nice. Yeah.
I
So, you know,
completely understand. Yeah. And it was because of the same reason. I would like go against management, and I also got like skipped over for a promotion. So I got into my network contacts. So who's hiring?
yeah,
And yeah,
exactly. Exactly. And I was going to actually try to get into being an electrician's apprentice, because I've always found
I remember
being
that.
I've I've always wanted to be an electrician. I don't know why. I still do. Like sometimes I think about my job. I'm like, man, I just want to be an electrician. I don't know why I do that. Um, but anyway, um, everything went on lockdown. And so I was kind of stuck working for Half Price Books, because with the way unemployment worked is that if it got to be where you like started unemployment, you had to go back to work when they called you back. And so I was like, well, I'm stuck at Half Price Books. And then it was like we were back for like a month, and then my friend called me and she goes, hey, are you interested in, you know, possibly interested in esports? I have a friend that's looking for somebody to run their Taikai esports. And I was like, you know what? Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Goodbye. I'm going. So I got the job, but yeah, so before that, I was a student, and I got to be a student for 3 years. I didn't work. That was the best thing I could have done creatively, is not have to think about work and just be able to play. It was great. Before that, I was a nanny and a preschool teacher. Before that, I was in the Marine Corps. And so, yeah, there's a lot of different things that I've done.
I wish we had time to go into the Marine Corps thing. We are out of time. So, how can people find you? Where can people find you?
They can find me, Lady SnipeShot, pretty much everywhere. I have a couple different projects that have just fallen through the crack, like just So just look at Lady SnipeShot. That's all you need.
I will leave the socials below in the description, and you can find me everywhere at .pwn. Bye.